Hello, my fellow comic book collectors. It's Alan, the Comic Collector Geek, and this is going to be the review of the Marvels movie. I just watched it last night with my son, um, and his comment pretty much sums up the whole movie. So I asked him after the movie was over, "What'd you think?" He's like, "That's it." That was it. That was his comment. Pretty much that does sum it up, though. So one of the things that I've found recently with movies is they try to push an agenda. This movie does not do that. This movie is not woke, and it really, that's a good thing, I guess. But you could tell that probably they got the memo. And this might be something that's really positive for future movies. But what I think has happened with this movie was it probably was originally very, very woke, where they pushed like girl power and all this kind of agenda-driven kind of dialogue and activism. Well, that had been sort of stripped out of the movie. And there wasn't really any of that, to tell you the truth, which is good, which is a good thing. But at the same time, when they stripped that out, it also stripped all the life out of this movie. It felt like it was written by AI. That's how dead the movie was. Things happened, yes, but did you care? No. So basically, the movie starts out with Miss Marvel, the young one, hoping to meet Captain Marvel and being a fangirl. She was just very keen, and her bubbliness and her true love for Captain Marvel really shone through. She was the best in the movie, actually. But that was her one trick. That's all she was. She's a fangirl. That's her whole motivation. That's her whole arc. And there was no arc for any of the characters, really. No character actually learned a lesson. No character really progressed in any particular way. So that's one of the problems with this movie, that you don't care because the characters don't care. Like, they just don't do anything. They're just there. I don't know. It's like so weird. So that's the start, and their powers get entangled. This is all from the commercial, so nothing special here so far. But I should warn, there might be spoilers. Not that this movie isn't spoiled on its own. It is not a good movie. So if you don't like spoilers, click off. Please give me a thumbs up before you go, and subscribe. But you might want to click off. So I might do spoilers. I might not. I don't know what I'm going to do. But but it starts out with that their powers get entangled because the main baddie, which is female Ronin, basically that's her whole, what she is. They don't really get into her depth of character or anything. She doesn't really have any personality. The actress that plays her is just horrible. Terrible acting, terrible screen presence. Feels like she has like an overbite or underbite. Is it underbite? Yeah, underbite. She's like talking like this all the time. It's like really cringy. It's just bothered me the whole time. So yeah, it's just really annoying character. So her motivation is to sum up her story. Okay, so Captain Marvel, at the end of Captain Marvel, basically destroys the what's it? It's the Skrulls and the other guys. Well, destroys the other guys. Mastermind or Megamind thingy, robot AI thing that controls their whole planet. Now, that was supposed to free them because this powerful computer was basically controlling everybody on that planet. But in doing so, she actually created the opposite effect, where this master computer was keeping everything working. And once that was gone, well, there was droughts, their sun stopped working, things went really bad, really fast. So a lot of people within that community basically saw her as this evil destroyer of worlds kind of thing, and they sort of denoted her that way. Um, so this woman, this female Ronin, I forget what her name is because not memorable. um, she basically, female Ronin, basically wants to get revenge on Captain Marvel and at the same time repair her world that has fallen apart. So she's seeking resources. She needs water, she needs air, she needs sun, those three things. So where's she going to get those? Well, she gets them from planets that are associated to Captain Marvel. That way she can kind of hurt Captain Marvel and get the resources that she needs. So she goes to one planet at the very beginning of the movie, which gets her, she finds this idol, and inside the idol is this gauntlet. And it's the same gauntlet that Miss Marvel has, if you watch the TV series. If you didn't, Miss Marvel has a gauntlet, and basically that gauntlet gives her her powers, or enhances her powers, I should say. And now, but we realize now, oh, there's a set. It's not just one gauntlet, it's two. If you have both, you can be ultra powerful. So basically this girl gets the gauntlet, and she realizes, hey, where's the other gauntlet? It's somewhere out there. But it allows her to create portals. And she uses these portals to create one portal to her homeworld and one portal for the place where she wants to siphon resources. And then she uses it to send off resources back to her home planet. That's her whole thing. But when she does this, because her portals are not sanctioned portals, or they're just, it's like fracking, I don't know. They explain it in such a weird way. Basically, because she's creating portals that are not normal, it causes these rifts. And Miss Marvel, or Captain Marvel actually, Captain Marvel and Jessica Rambone, Monica Rambone, touches this weird rift in space at the same time, and in doing so, their powers get entangled. Miss Marvel also, because she has the gauntlet, her powers also get entangled. So the three of them are all entangled. They share powers, and whenever they use their power, then if they use their power at the same time as one of the other characters, then they'll switch places. They actually do a good job of explaining all that, and it's like it sounds better than it probably on paper. It probably sounds better than the actual movie. I'm making it sound good. Actually, it's not that good. It really isn't that good. But their powers get entangled. So if they use their power when one of the others are not using their power, then they're fine. But if they use their powers at the same time, then they get switched, and that causes all chaos at first. They keep on switching and making a mess of things. And they played that up a little bit, but there's no humor in it. It's not like this movie. I didn't laugh once. I didn't even think anything was funny. There was nothing that was funny. So, maybe they got the memo about Marvel humor being obnoxious, or maybe it was meant to be funny, but somehow it wasn't funny. I don't know. I think there was times where they were trying to be funny, but I didn't really get it. There was a few like I could tell, oh, this is meant to be a joke, but nobody's laughing. So that's not a good sign. It was just like, what? Yeah, it's like so weak. So for example, there was one thing where her, she has to go off with, like, Miss Marvel has to go off with Captain Marvel and Photon. And her parents are like, hey, you don't go off with them, and if they don't bring you back in one piece, then I'm going to kill them. But they say it in Punjabi. And so nobody understands what they said except for Miss Marvel. And she doesn't, so it's supposed to be a joke, I guess. But, it just didn't land in any particular way. The acting in this show was incredibly bad throughout. Everyone was weak except Miss Marvel, maybe. But she was just playing, as I said, one trick pony, being the happy-go-lucky fangirl. That was her whole thing. So back to the story. So we got this situation where they're all entangled, and they learn this plot of this evil female Ronin, and they basically try to stop her. But in doing so, they only cause more chaos and more trouble to the people. So first group that they try to save are the Skrulls, and in doing so, they only make the female Ronin more upset. And what ends up happening is the female Ronin basically siphons all the air from this where the Skrulls are hanging out, and it ends up that a lot of them die. Now, Miss Marvel and Captain Marvel and Photon all try to save the Skrulls, as many as they can, but most of them die. It's like they're getting slaughtered, and it's just not a good thing. There's no repercussions for that. Like, it's not like the Skrulls are like, oh, we're disappointed in you, but that's about it. They're not like, you just genocided us. It's like, but and it's just like no like tragedy. Like, it just didn't feel like there was much like weight to it. It didn't really, like, you didn't really care, even though they're all getting slaughtered because their oxygen is being ripped apart from where they were staying, and all their buildings are falling down for some reason. So it just seemed kind of weird. It's like, do we really care? Not really. Then the next scene, so they actually get, like, Valkyrie takes them away, and they get a new home world somewhere. We don't really care. We don't know. Nothing really came of it. They're just gone. So the Skrulls are gone. Nobody cares. The next group is this weird planet where everybody sings to communicate. And if that sounds bad when I say it, it's much worse in real life. It's much worse when you watch it on screen. It's just painful watching people singing and dancing in order to communicate. And it's just, I couldn't even understand what they're really saying. They're singing it, and it's like, oh, and they're singing like horribly, and they're dancing like as if it's like, it almost reminded me of like some Hollywood thing, like, just over the top, like Hollywood pretending to be Bollywood, if that makes sense. Bollywood would at least do it in kind of a cool way. Hollywood just does it in a ultra lame way. So yeah, it was just so lame that it was just, please let this. I was just waiting for the scene to be over, and I knew that the evil girl was coming there to steal. This planet was like an all water planet, so I was just waiting. Oh, please destroy this planet soon, please. It's like, they were just so obnoxious, and it was just like this. Everyone's singing and stuff, and it was just painful. And then it's just, so of course that does happen. The baddies do come, and the water people do try to fight, and Miss Marvel can't actually fight at this point, because if she uses her powers, well, she'll mess up Captain Marvel and Photon. So she basically doesn't use her powers. So she's like, what do I do? How can I fight and help? And they say, oh, use your scarf. So she takes off her scarf that she's always wearing, and she's using that to fight everybody. And she's beating everybody with the scarf. Like, I tried this actually myself with a scarf. And if you grab a scarf and try to flick it at somebody and knock them out, it does not work. It does not work. It's physically impossible. But in movies, oh my goodness, scarves are like a lethal weapon. She was just taking out everybody with this scarf. I don't get it. I was confused by that. So yeah, that was a little kind of hard to believe. So that was a little weird. But at least the water planet does get destroyed. Thank you. No more singing people. You genocided the right people. It's like, it was just so annoying. But yeah, no, their water gets stolen, and yeah, they're done. So there's one last resource that this evil person needs, this evil female Ronin, and she needs sun. She needs a sun to be restarted. So where is she going to get sun power? Well, how about Earth's sun? So she goes to Earth. So all of a sudden, the Marvels have to go and stop her. And they stop her. Not really climatically, like, they actually say, hey, we're going to help you. We don't have to fight. We could actually help you. And they're like, and she's like, well, no, I have to fight you regardless. Regardless. And I'm going to die in the process of fighting you. Didn't make any sense. Yeah, evil has to be evil. That's the way it works. Even though, really, actually, if you look at the evil Miss Ronin girl, she really wasn't that evil in theory, because like she was just trying to help her own planet survive, because it was lacking oxygen, lacking water, lacking a sun. So I don't know how they didn't all freeze to death, but that's beside the point. It was, she was just doing this out of desperation, and they could have played that up. It could have actually been that more like Thanos. Thanos, the way that they did him was really good. They made him look like he was maybe like maybe wrong thinking, but for the right like he was trying to help the universe. He was a bit sympathetic in that respect, and understandable, relatable, whether you agree with him or not. They could have done that with this character, but they didn't. They chose not to. I don't know why. They could have made her a sympathetic character and a sympathetic but evil character. There's sometimes that happens with evil. That's why evil is so dangerous, because, if it's sympathetic, it can really gather support for that evil philosophy. And we've seen that in our history, how bad that can go. So that's actually a very interesting thing, but this is not about interesting things. This is about the Marvels. So the Marvels is not interesting. So yeah, basically they stop her. Captain Marvel goes off and actually saves their world. She fixes their son. Why didn't she just do that in the first place? It was just like, there's just no, like, I felt like I didn't really care about this movie. Now, one thing I wanted to say is that, like, one of the things I was ready to complain about, actually I always try to go into a movie open-minded, but I was ready for this. I was really ready for it to be very strong woke, where you get the typical situation where girls are all perfect, no character flaws, and they can do anything. They didn't have that in this. I actually kind of respected the way that they behaved. They behaved like women for the most part. With superpowers, they were obviously superpowered women. They behaved normally. They behaved way you would expect. So I thought that was okay. However, they were so non-interesting people that he didn't really care. And the acting wasn't really that great. So that part of the wokeness was not there. Another thing that's usually in woke movies is the girl, she was right all along and she just had to trust herself. That wasn't in this either. The other thing, is they usually bash men in order to make women look strong. They didn't do that here either. All the bad things that you'd almost expect in a Marvel movies nowadays was not there. It was not a woke movie. However, it was definitely broken. It was definitely a broken movie. I don't know. I think it's because they really maybe tried to remove all those elements. In doing so, they kind of really killed this movie. They just stripped it from all of any humor, of any love, of any passion. That was another thing about this movie. There is no romantic interests. This movie has no, there's no reason for people to do the things. Like, you couldn't sense that they had like some emotional connection to anything. Like they lacked the emotional connection themselves. So you couldn't feel emotionally connected. Like, they just seemed to be deadpanned and like having no emotional reasoning for what they did. Like, it was their own motivations rather than heroic way, which is to actually do things where you're protecting the ones you love, protecting the innocent, protecting other people. The only one that had that motivation would have been the evil one. The evil one had that to a certain extent. But nobody else did. It just felt very weak that way. So it's really weird. Um, I do think this movie does bode well. I think Marvel has listened to some of the complaints about the previous movies that have come out recently, where they're just all agenda driven. I think they got the memo, so that's a good sign. But this movie's going to do so poorly, nobody's going. That sign will be ignored. Um, Hopefully, when they write whatever the next movie is, they can actually write a real story and actually make something that's good. This was just so weak on pretty much every point. The story was weak. The the characters were weak. The character development was weak. The action was weak. Um, just I gave it a 5 out of 10, and that was me being nice. Okay, this is not a good movie. You know, yeah. So I hope my review saves future lives from having to watch this movie. Fortunately, when I watched the movie, there was only 5 people in the movie theater on opening night. Not a good sign. I think this movie is going to definitely fail, uh, and it deserves to. So I hope you enjoyed this review. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.